And Will, I want to thank you. We are honored to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And absolutely. And for the viewers, I just want to show you guys, it doesn't matter whether you're a celebrity or whether you're fighting as CEO, or it just does not matter where you've been. And that's why Will is so special to the show, because not just because he's a celebrity, but because he has a story. And guess what? He didn't say, oh, I give up, I'm gonna stop here. So, Will, I want to start off with, you graduated from USF, and you were on your way to the NBA, and here goes that smile.
First.
I hit him with the right hook. But 2004 draft pick, can you tell me a little bit about that? What happened?
I mean, anyways, I mean, I can explain the whole season, but that'll take forever. But come my senior year, was dealing with a young lady that I was with at the time, and doing the typical things that all us athletes do, cheat. And sorry for putting y'all out there, but went to another girl's house, and the girl I was with followed me and caused a big old fight, big confusion. She's out there fighting, want to fight the girl, want to fight everybody but me. And of course, when the police come, I'm the one who gets arrested because she has scratches and stuff on her neck. And of course, they're going to take me. I'm the big, tall basketball player.
And you're the cheer, so you're the bad guy.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. I get arrested. And of course, when I get arrested, the next morning, everywhere. The newspaper, Tampa Tribune, ESPN, the Oracle, the USF newspaper called the Oracle, everything. Will Mcdonald, domestic violence, blah, blah, blah. I get to school the next day. People asking me, and me and the girls back together the next day. People asking her, oh, you okay? He beat you. Totally, it was just all wrong, you know, but the media is never going to come back and say, oh, that's not the story, you know. They're never going to come back and tell the truth. They're going to get the first story and they're going to ride with it.
That's it.
That was it. So that set me back, you know. We cleared that up. All charges was dropped. She had to admit that I wasn't the one put the scratches on her and all this kind of stuff, and it was dropped at that point. I was able to finish the season. It was only a couple of games left. I was able to finish the season and went on to play in Portsmouth, the Chicago pre-draft camp, played really well in all these things, and at the moment I was projected to be the 8th big man pick in the draft. And moving forward, I was the only player to work out for 15 NBA teams in 18 days.
Nice. So
we would work out in the morning, fly at night. Work out in the morning, fly at night. I'm talking about here to California, to New York, you know, all over we had a schedule.
So you had girls everywhere, you just admitted it. I'm joking.
And most, you know, most players, all the players who worked out for that many teams meant that someone was interested in them,
right,
and they pretty much got drafted. As a matter of fact, my draft year was the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. It was, to me, one of the best drafts ever, you know, and I was a part of that. And going forward, each one of these drafts, they all ask you questions. They know my life. They know more than I knew. You know, they've been watching you for so long. You know, and you don't know that, but these people have been watching my lifestyle, watching everything for so long. And maybe half of the teams didn't ask me, and maybe half of the teams that didn't ask me the question about me being arrested was the teams who really wasn't going to draft me. But the teams who asked me about being arrested, I had to tell them the truth because they knew the truth, you know. I explained it to them, and it's like a few teams asked me over and over, like I was going to change the story or something.
Like they wanted you to almost change the story.
I'm telling you the truth, you know. One team, like I'm going to say it, the Lakers, when I played really well in that camp. Me and the big kid, they were going to say Brian Cook or something, destroyed him in the camp. Totally killed him. After that, the Lakers, the guy asked me like 4 times, the GM, And the fourth time, I snapped on him in the office. I was like, man, don't ask me this shit no more, you know. I just started going off, and he was like, you gotta go. So when I left there, went home, still had a chance with Golden State. Golden State called me and said, well, we want you to play with us in the summer league. So played with them in the summer league. Got another altercation with the coach about the same situation. Came home. And ever since then, I mean, I left that part. That part of my life, the NBA chapter had closed for me, like mentally. Everything, it closed. Everything. It was just bad because when the draft came, I still had the Lakers say that they was going to take me at the 31st pick, and that's the first pick of the second round. And they took Luke Walton, of course. His dad is part of the program, but they took Luke Walton. And that day, for me, I say that not for me, that was one of the worst days of my life because I had maybe 100 family members in my house. All of us at the, you know, it was the draft party, everybody excited, thinking my name gonna get called, and they didn't call my name. So I just got up, I left everybody at the house. I was in New Orleans, I drove all the way to Tampa that night. And nobody knew I was at till I called the next day, and I was like, I'm back in Tampa. And ever since then, I started focusing on the NBA.
So that was just a frustrating hit, a blow. Let me ask you, how did you overcome that and say, you know what, I'm not going to give up and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to take it to the next level and I'm going to be successful. At what point was your transformation?
I mean, like with me, the difference between me and a lot of players that play now, like my career has been strong in Europe. I played 12 years now. And a lot of players could play that long if they was dedicated to Europe. So many players live that NBA dream. I want to be an NBA player, and not knowing the gist of everything that goes on with it, you know. And I got back in the gym. I was like, you know what? It's more money, other places, more teams. So I went to France my first year. Played in France. Played really well my first year. Played so well that the Celtics called me after my first year in France. It was like, hey, Will, you want to come play with us for the summer league? I was like, okay, I'll go play. Went and played one game with Doc Rivers. He was in the Celtics then. And European team called me, offered me a 2-year contract. And I was like, whoa. I said, I'm going to take that 2-year contract. So I talked to Doc Rivers about it. Doc was like, hey, we're really interested in you. You play really well. You're a great player. I can't say for sure if we're going to take you or not, but if I was you, he whispered in my ear, he was like, if I was you, if I have money on the table, I'll take it. So I took it. I went to Europe, and I made as much in NBA season as a minimum NBA player. I made the same thing in Europe for 2 years. You know, so after I received that check in Europe, after my second 2 years, everything kind of went uphill from that point. Because after that, I kept playing, and then the third year, Milwaukee Bucks comes and offered me a 1-year contract. And I said no. So I played again, big contract, another contract in Europe, and I'm probably making, and all this is online, I'm making more than maybe 70% of the NBA players.
So I'm going to cut you off right here because I want to say to everybody, do you guys realize what's going on here? He's going out for the NBA. Everybody wants to be an NBA star. You know, they get all the girls. They get all the, quick joke, they get all the girls. They get the money. They get the fame. But instead, when everything went down and he wasn't picked, was he frustrated? Of course. Did he hit adversity? Of course he did. He left his entire family, drove all the way to Tampa without telling anybody, and he made just as much money working in Europe. He's happy, and he just said everything went uphill. You know why everything went uphill? Because he didn't quit. He never said never. He continued to go, and then if I'm not mistaken, your name even got a little bigger. With the epic flop.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
I didn't get no credit for the epic flop, but
I wouldn't imagine you would.
I played for a while. And back what I said about the turning down the NBA things, that's the Tampa Tribune did a big story about that, because I was like one of the only players to ever turn down a NBA contract to stay in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they came to a big article.
And why did you do that? Why did you turn it down?
I was making more money then, and I was comfortable there. You know, Europe is.
You'd already established.
When I retire from here, I won't live here. I will live in Europe. I will live in Barcelona, my home in Barcelona for sure. But the epic flop thing, yeah, I was. As you can see, if you watch the full version of the game.
He's got to justify, guys.
Of course, because everybody see it and they think that I'm the bad guy. You know, I just hit this guy for no reason or nothing. If you watch the full version, you see me playing basketball, and this guy steady behind me, pushing me. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, stop. And then pushing me. So instead of telling him, I looked at the officials while the game is playing. I'm like, are you going to say something to him? The official one looked at me and went. So of course I took it upon myself. The first one I swung and missed. So I went to grab the rebound and try to hit him again with the elbow, missed. So my next reaction was to hit him with the ball, and I wanted to fight. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I wanted to fight, but I guess he seen it and he just fell. It was so slow and slow motion, and boom, fell, and he laid there, and that was it.
No, I have to ask you, like, basketball is a tough sport because you want to win the game.
Of course.
So you're all over each other, you're trying to block the ball. Were you having a bad day that day, or was it just him getting under your skin?
It was him. He was getting under my skin, you know. I honestly think, you know, because before I had some incidents on the court, you know, I mean, that's what I was kind of known for, tough on the court, you know. So maybe the coach told him before to do that. But for me, it's a difference between playing tough and playing stupid. Like, he was going over the line, and the officials was allowing it. And because they was allowing it, I had to do my part then. Okay,
now with that, I'm going to tell you guys, if I'm not mistaken, he went through adversity again. What happened after you did the epic flop?
Okay, they only brought me there for that game. If we won that game, we would have moved on to the next game and the next game. And in the Philippines, they do this. These teams, they're the owner, like San Miguel, the beers, and they have a lot of money. So they brought me there for one game, gave me 15 grand for one game. And it was like, if you win the next game, we give you $40,000. I could have been there a month, and they would have gave us about $300,000 in that time. But at that time, when that happened, they gave me the first initial $15,000. I hit the guy in the head. We lost the game, so we didn't qualify for the next round. And they suspended me, even though I couldn't play. They suspended me and fined me half of the money that they gave me, so I had to pay it back. Had a big old thing all on TV about it, and
you said you woke up the next morning. He said that he had his friends calling him saying you made ESPN.
Like, dude, you on Yahoo? I'm like, Yahoo.com? Yeah, you hit somebody with a ball? I'm like, what? Somebody else called me, dude, you on World Star? I'm like, World Star? You want to get on World Star for crazy stuff? You're like, yeah.
Well, I mean, don't you think hitting someone in the head with the ball is kind of crazy? Maybe a little bit?
And then, down the line, I see I'm on ESPN, top 10, not top 10. I'm like, what? And then at the top it off, at the end of the season, at the end of the year, when they do the show resolutions and the ESPN resolutions, I was top 10, like number 2 on the top 10 list for the year on ESPN.
For epic flops.
For epic flops. I was like, what?
So at that point, let me ask you, did you give up then? And you're like, oh, that's it. My basketball career is over.
I'm not gonna lie. I did think that it was gonna hurt me bad, because it was the time for me to sign another contract for the next season. And I was like, oh man, these people gonna think I'm crazy. They're not gonna want to give me a contract. I shouldn't have never came to the Philippines for this money. I was okay. And I got the call. It was like, Will, we want to sign you. I was like, thank God. They signed me in.
So I just heard you say, thank God. So you know that God's with you.
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Every day.
It's tattooed on my chest, even though I got a bunch of them.
Yeah, you are pretty covered.
Everywhere I go. Yeah, of course. I give all praise to God first before anything. So, of course.
And that's probably why you were successful, because you never say never, and you let your God, your higher power, lead you.
Yep.
So, see guys, I just want to take a minute to say, like, look at everything that he's been through. And yeah, he's a little on the wild side, we gotta admit. He crosses some barriers. However, he never gave up, and he's still living the life of an NBA basketball player, just overseas. So he is a prime example. He's been arrested. He's hit a guy in the face with a ball. So you guys that are sitting at home and you're out there and you're like, oh, I've been arrested for domestic violence, and you know, me and my brother, we got into it, so you know, I'm just gonna, you know, get unemployment, or I'm gonna do this, or oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. This is living proof right here. The determination is how bad you want it. How bad do you want to be successful? Because you could be nothing and sit at home and lay on that couch, because that's easy. So you want it bad because you don't have to do nothing. But if you want to be successful, you get up. I wouldn't suggest hitting people on the head with a ball. However, whatever adversity you've been through, I want you to know this is just a prime example. This is an international professional basketball player who has made it to the top. You know why? Because he never said never. He never gave up, and he kept pushing and pushing and pushing and praying. He praised God as soon as he got that phone call, because he thought he might have pushed the limits a little bit too hard. Let me ask you, Will, when do you start training? Are you training now?
I'm training now. I leave next month. I leave sometime in September. I'm not sure the exact date, but sometime in September. And I've been training a while now. I've been home. The season in China is only 6 months. So 6 months on, 6 months off, which is perfect. I've been training pretty much the whole time I've been home. I took off maybe 3 weeks, but I've been going home.
So you just, and that's another thing. We just did a show in Miami on health and fitness.
Yeah.
So with you training every day, that's got to help you stay mentally prepared, focused, motivated.
You have to be. I mean, I'm always mentally prepared. I'm always on my square because I have a family. I have kids. I have to train. My kids want to eat good, and I have to make sure my kids eat good, not just today, not tomorrow, but for life. So I always have to do what I have to do. And like for me, like I'm one of the oldest in the, I'm oldest, even like in the NBA, like at my age, it's old. You know, they want to get rid of you at 34, but I'm still going. I'm still going.
You're not going to stop?
Nah, no need to stop.
Well, guys, there you have it. We have somebody that has been through adversity multiple times, and these are just small stories. I'm sure he has more stories in his bucket that he just doesn't want to tell us right now because I can only imagine. But this has got to give you hope. This has got to give you that and this has just got to show you, never say never. Will, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I want to ask one last favor of you. If you could look directly at that camera and just tell them, never say never.
Never say never.